All right, so now I am about to create a paper mache fish. Now, for this particular fish, I looked up a big-eyed goldfish. When I looked at them, they have kind of like short, stout bodies, kind of like this. And I made a little sketch off to the side here, so I remember like where he needs to be thin at the top and then sort of like bow out in the middle. His big old eyes are going to go right about here. And then he's going to have a big dorsal fin right here. And some big old tail fins. I'm not going to cut out these fins right now because this is basically going to just be like the center of the skeleton of my goldfish. I'm going to add these fins on later since they sort of sit off to the side of my goldfish. So like I said, I just have this as a little sketch off to the side for right now. One thing you do want to make sure you're doing is maximizing the space that you have on your poster board. I'd really like to see these be fairly big fish and not like actual goldfish size fish. So work with the space you got there. So I'm going to go ahead and basically just cut out the center shape. All right. I'm going to go back and figure out about how big these fins need to be. So since I can't cut this part out of my goldfish, what I'm going to do is sort of move down here and just think about what exactly is that shape of the fin that I'm trying to create. And he's also got little fins back here too. I forgot to draw those in. But I know they're a little bit smaller than these. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a pair that are kind of symmetrical. In fact, I can go ahead and cut this one out and then trace it so I get one that's symmetrical. And the back one that's back by his tail is a little bit thinner like this. So I'm going to cut these out and then trace them to make a matching pair. All right. So I set it just somewhere on a scrap. I'm going to trace both of these guys again so I can have a matching pair of fins. I moved a little bit, but that should work. So I've got my little fins, my big fins, and the center of my fish body. Now what I need to do is give this guy some dimension. He's looking kind of flat at the minute. So this is where I'm going to use some scrap paper. You can fill your paper mache sculptures with any sort of paper product. So whatever Miss Brown and I set out for you to use to stuff it up with, it might be old bulletin board paper, it could be old wrapping paper, it could be newspaper, whatever we set out for you, that's what you're going to use to stuff it. I happen to have some wrapping paper available here. So when you are stuffing the sculpture, you want to ball the paper up and keep it, I always say, fluffy. If you try to fold the paper like this, it's going to take you forever to actually build volume on your sculpture. So this one, like this folded piece of paper, does not take up a whole lot of space. But this wad of paper takes up my whole handful. So that's why we want to really keep the paper crumbly. All right. On this first layer, all I'm trying to do is just stuff the fish. So one thing that really helps is to get a lot of tape going. And I'm breaking this up and putting it on the edge of my table so that way I can quickly grab it as I am just stuffing my sculpture. I'm not really too concerned about how specific I am at this point. Like, I'm not going to the eyeballs. All I'm trying to do is give this fishy some mass. All right, I'm also working on this other side. cross over this bridge here. And that's going to help me start smoothing out the top of my fish. Now, one thing I don't want to do is, I don't want to flesh out my tail too much, but I do want to start thinning out the body as it goes into the tail. All right, before I start kind of finalizing the shape of the body here, I am going to take a wire and I'm going to incorporate it into like the paper body part and into this tail, and then sort of back around like this. That way it'll give me something that I can sort of bend with the tail, like so. All right, so now my fishy has a little bit of curve to him here. All right, all of this together is to take some longer, flatter pieces of paper and just sort of wrap them all the way around my fish that has been kind of like plumped up. And then I'm gonna put my masking tape down sort of long ways along that paper and make sure that I hold it in place. So I still have a lot of paper showing with just a line of tape along the way. And I can use my hand to kind of squish things just like you sculpt with clay. Now, I do want to put on these big eyes right here. So I'm just going to create a little ball of paper. And one thing you'll find is that it's really hard to just take like a sphere of paper and stick it on here with tape. So what I find helps is to sort of wrap another piece of paper around that sphere, so that you then have a little extra paper hanging down here. And that gives you something to secure to your sculpture. So now I can tape all this extra paper down and it will not go anywhere. I have the dorsal fin, which I'm just going to curl so it looks like it's sort of swimming. I have my tail fins, which I'm going to do the exact same thing. I'm not going to add much paper to them. I have a little bit of paper that goes into the tail fin area here. I'm just going to curl the paper with my fingers to create a little bit of movement. Voila. And the last thing I need to do is add my flippers. My bigger flippers in this particular big goldfish go towards the back like this. So tape those into place. So just gave them a little curl with my fingers too. There we go. There's just a happy, wonky goldfish. I love him. I think he's pretty cute.